challenge this week on Real Women of Philadelphia is to make an appetizer. Now, an appetizer can range from anything from a dish of nuts to something more like a meal, like wings or sliders. The appetizer I'm going to make today, a chicken ring, is wildly popular with my friends and family and is just a little bit more substantial than chip and dip or cheese and crackers, and it's really been a hit with everybody. So what we need to make the chicken ring is 2 packages of refrigerated French loaf, 3 boneless chicken breasts, baby spinach, red peppers that we're going to saute on top of the stove, Philadelphia cream cheese. I use the whipped kind because it really makes the spreading go very easily, and some pesto, and then regular salt and spices. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is form the ring. And this is 2 French loaves that you find in the refrigerated section. And you're just going to make a circle with them and line up the seams and just pinch them together. They pinch together very easily. They stay together. It really works very, very well. It's very simple to do. So you form a ring. I take a knife and I just slice some sections along the bread, kind of to use as a guide when I'm slicing it into individual pieces later. There are a few ingredients in the ring, so they can't really be tiny, tiny pieces because you don't want the ingredients to fall out while you're trying to eat them. So I just make a few slices and pop it in the oven. The next thing we're going to do is bake the chicken. I bake it usually along with the bread in the oven to kill time, speed it up, and I just season it with a little salt and pepper. And anybody that knows me knows I do put garlic on pretty much everything. And on this recipe I just use garlic powder as opposed to minced garlic. And where it's breasts, I'm going to just drizzle a little bit of olive oil on to keep them moist while they're cooking. And I'm going to pop these in the oven right next to the bread. The next step while the bread and the chicken are cooking is to saute the red pepper on the stove in a little olive oil. I've sliced mine into just thin circles, actually. I like them in circles. And I'm just going to put them in the pan and saute them. I like to put them in to a pan that's a little bit hot and then let them start to cook and then lower the heat and really cook them for a good portion of the time so that they can break down. Okay, the bread is out of the oven, and while we're waiting for the chicken to finish up cooking and the peppers to just render down a little bit more, we're going to make the spread. Okay, I'm just mixing the whipped cream cheese and the pesto together. I do use equal parts, about 4 ounces each, and I like the whipped cream cheese because it does make spreading it on the bread much, much easier. And I have left the cream cheese out on the counter a little bit while I was making the other ingredients because that makes it just even all the more easy to spread as well. Okay, the chicken's finishing up in the oven, and now that the bread is cooled down enough to handle, I'm going to slice it in half to start forming the ring. It's very simple to do. Just take a serrated knife, and just one that's long enough so that it'll come out both sides so that you don't have to go back and try to match up, and just slice all the way around the ring. Very, very easy. And then you're just going to lift the top piece off and put it down so that you can see it's still pretty warm, and we're just going to let it cool down a little bit more before we put the spread of cream cheese and pesto on. Okay, the chicken is done cooking and the bread is cooled down enough for us to put the spread on, and we can start assembling the sandwich. You see I have put the peppers in the dish with the chicken just for the few minutes that we have now in between to kind of mix all of the flavors together. I really like the flavor of the red peppers, the sauteed red peppers, and I just pour them with their juice over the chicken and just let it sit while we're getting everything together. Now the first thing we're going to do is spread both halves of the bread with the cream cheese and pesto spread. And you'll see that the whipped cream cheese really makes it very, very easy to spread on. There are many, many reasons that I love this recipe, and one of the big ones is that you can make pretty much everything ahead of time and just leave this final assembly till the end. I make this recipe a lot in the summer. My family and I have a lot of happy hours in the summer, and I make this one fairly often because my family just is crazy for it. And I certainly don't want to be coming up from the beach in the middle of the afternoon to make this for happy hour. So I can make the bread, the chicken, and the peppers, and the spread all separate in the morning, and just leave everything in the refrigerator. And then as the drinks are being mixed, I can make the assembly and put it together and bring out a really nice appetizer for happy hour. So now that we spread both sides with the spread, we're going to put a layer of baby spinach on the bottom portion of the bread. I've used regular spinach in this in the past, and I mean, we really like spinach, but baby spinach is just a much better texture and flavor, I think, for this recipe. So we've put a layer of baby spinach, and now we're going to take the chicken that I've sliced into thinner, not quite cutlets, but each breast I slice into a couple or 3 slices so that you don't get a huge bite of chicken, so that you're able to just bite through it. And we're just going to layer the chicken around the ring. Obviously, you want to make sure that the chicken covers every part, because you do want to have a piece of chicken in every bite. So you want to cover everything up. And the same thing goes true with the peppers. You want to make sure that you get some pepper in every bite that you're going to have. So you just layer them right on top of the chicken all the way around. Just want to make sure that everything is going to stay contained, because there are a lot of kind of clunky ingredients in the ring, and you don't want anybody, you know, a lot of times at happy hour people are standing up, and you don't want them to be having a huge mess as they bite into their appetizer. So I've put the layer of peppers on, and now I'm going to put another layer of spinach on top, because we really like spinach. And then you're going to take the top piece of the bread and just lay it right on top. And you'll see what a nice presentation that makes. People think that you're just a genius, but you see, if you break it down into a few steps, it's really very, very simple. So the last thing we need to do is just slice it. Now, if you remember, before we baked the bread, we made some slots, or slices along. Some of those are still identifiable, some of them have kind of melted in, but you would just find one and press everything down, and you're just going to make sure you cut all the way through. And again, you know, pieces, you don't want them to be really big, because it is just an appetizer and everybody's going home for supper, but they have to be fair size so that they're not so small that things are just going to be falling out all over people, because no matter what, that doesn't work. And that's it. I have been making this recipe for at least 10 years, and I've never ever had a time when anybody said, "Oh, I can't believe you make the chicken ring again." And anytime I give the recipe to anybody, they have just had huge success with it, and I'm sure that you will too. Thanks so much for stopping by. We'll see you soon.